It could be you. It could be me. It could be anybody.
My son was the light in any dark room.
Two women at two very different stages of a long journey. Strangers who share a sorrow few of us know, and they are about to meet.
I'm not nervous. I just don't really know what to say to her.
It had only been a few days since Amber Carr had buried her sister, Atatiana Jefferson, gunned down by a policeman in her own home.
In your home? The place where you go to get away from the world? It makes no sense. You can't put any sense to that.
Allison John's son, Botham, also suffered that same fate.
If I could ask her anything, it's like, how do you cope? How do you cope?
Botham Jean! Botham Jean! Botham Jean! The names Botham Jean and Atatiana Jefferson now a rallying cry.
She was massacred in her house. She wasn't killed. She was murdered.
Flashpoints in the national conversation on police and the use of deadly force.
Justice, no peace!
Highlighted by a new study that found black men are 2.5 times more likely to be killed by police than white men. Botham Jean is one of that number. If unaware of the statistics, he was fully conscious of the stigma he bore as a man of color.
Botham would love to dress well. And I would ask, why do you think that you must look the part every time? He said to me, Mommy, I know what it is when I walk into an elevator and a little white lady pulls her bag closer to her. I dress well so that I am not mistaken.
They can see your truth, Lord. I pray for your hand of protection and guidance raise up a generation, Lord.
As an active church member, the 26-year-old's voice lifted up the congregation.
He was about forgiveness. He was about compassion. He was about reaching the underserved and underprivileged.
But none of that mattered on September 6, 2018. While Jean was alone in his apartment watching TV, Dallas police officer Amber Guyger, just off a 13-hour shift, says she accidentally walked into Jean's apartment, mistaking it for her own, and shot him dead.
Up to now, when I reflect on it, I still cannot believe that that could ever happen. It's just... It's still difficult to understand that Botham is not here.
Your son, a good man.
Did all the right things.
This past September, the criminal case against Amber Guyger went to trial.
Why did you fire?
I was scared. Whoever was inside my apartment was gonna kill me. And I'm sorry. I have to live with that every single day.
Amber Guyger was found guilty of murder, sentenced to 10 years in prison.
Since I heard the verdict, I am much better. I feel much lighter. So I'm using this period now to heal.
The Jean family hired civil rights attorney Lee Merritt to represent them in their ongoing civil case.
My hope in all of these cases and holding police officers accountable is that a message will go out to the law enforcement community that they're not untouchable. There will be consequences if you pull that trigger and don't have the proper justification.
But just 11 days after Guyger was convicted,
Growing outrage in Texas tonight. A woman killed by police in her own home.
28-year-old Atatiana Jefferson was killed in Fort Worth, just 33 miles away from where Botham Jean lived.
You really can't make any sense of any of it.
Jefferson's family's fight for justice is just beginning. The wounds still raw.
My family, we really shouldn't be at this point dealing with an assassination.
Why do you call it that?
Because that is exactly what it is.
Hi, my name is Atatiana Jefferson. And
She had diabetes, and she always talked about being the person to come up with that cure for diabetes. She was extremely strong. She was her own person.
Amber's 8-year-old son Zion was with Jefferson the night she was killed. Adult trauma recounted through a boy's eyes.
He said that he was sad. And I asked him why were you sad? He said, well, the police shot Auntie. And that was the first time I had heard that. No one had given me any details on what happened. And I hated that my son had to be the one to tell me. He was actually there to witness it and could have been a target as well. I know I'm crying and it looks like I'm sad, but I'm really angry.
Fort Worth Police Operator M873, what's the address?
I'm calling about my neighbor.
It all started with a concerned call to a non-emergency police line from a neighbor who later told us he was worried medical help was needed.
It's not normal for them to have both of the doors open this time of night.
The body cam footage shows Officer Aaron Dean walking past the front door.
Zion said he was sitting up because they were playing video games, but when they heard something outside, she told him to lay down.
He went around the back of the house and approached a bedroom window.
He heard him shout, "Put your hands up."
Put your hands up! Show me your hands!
The officer shot through the window. His split-second decision claimed Jefferson's life.
If you could talk to the officer, what would you say, John?
What was he thinking? What was he thinking? What was going through your mind? Were you afraid? Why were you afraid?
Lee Merritt again found himself representing another family whose loved one was shot in her own home.
It was devastating.
Is it possible that Officer Dean was just a young officer who made a terrible mistake and was not at his best on a single night?
It's possible. It is possible that he was just poorly trained, wasn't ready to be out on his own.
Aaron Dean declined our request for an interview. His lawyers said they had no comment. Dean had a promising career, commended in his personal files as a, quote, young officer working at a level commonly seen from more experienced officers.
Good afternoon.
In this video obtained by ABC News, here he is interviewing for the job back in 2017.
I want to serve my fellow citizens in a very up close and personal way. I like the action and adventure that I hear the stories told about that the job seems to promise.
Take note how he answers this fateful question.
Will you be able to kill somebody if you have to? No problem.
Aaron Dean resigned from his position 2 days after the shooting and has been charged with murder. He has not yet entered a plea.
I respect the profession. They run towards the danger, but we've amplified the idea that they get too fearful for their lives in so many situations to the point that it's become unreasonable.
Coming up, inside the minds of police officers under stress. And when Amber and Allison meet for the first time, what wisdom is shared for the long road ahead?
Hi everyone, George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.